Hi, thanks for joining us for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. I'm Chris Cooper. Is your houseplant getting a little big for that pot? Today we're going to show you how to repot houseplants. Also, summer is here, and if it does not rain enough, you may need to water your lawn. Today we're going to talk about when and how much to water. That's just ahead on the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South.
Production funding for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Family Plot. I'm Chris Cooper. Joining me today is Rick Pudwell. Rick is the Director of Horticulture at the Memphis Botanic Garden. And Booker T. Leigh is here. Booker is a UT Extension agent right here in Shelby County. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Hi, Mr. Rick. We have some house plants that need to be repotted.
Yes, sir.
Can you help us out, please, sir?
Oh, I think I can, and I've been told that they have resided in this very building for 7 years since they were purchased in the very same pots. So that's a testament to the person that cared for them, that they've kept them alive that long.
They have been here for a while, that's for sure.
I would say that's great. This is a Sansevieria.
Okay,
a lot of you know this as a mother-in-law tongue. Mm-hmm. And this is a plant that is very easy to care for, and they like to dry out between waterings. I'm kind of removing some of these old leaves. Let's see what the roots look like. Not bad.
Not bad, yeah.
Kind of tight. One thing I like to do, especially if the plant's been in a container for a long time, is kind of tease out some of the roots on the edge. And you see the roots are pretty much all on the outside of the ball. And we had selected a pot. Where's the little one? There we go. And this has a drainage hole in it, which it should.
Okay.
And I'm going to put a piece of broken clay pot. When you break your clay pots, don't throw them away. They're porous, and that's good to cover the drainage hole in the bottom.
Cool. Okay.
And a lot of times, if the plant's been in a clay pot for a long time, you'll find that the roots have kind of grown around that, and kind of cling to that. It's porous, but it'll keep the soil from washing out.
Okay.
So these plants usually have a rhizome that grows across, but it couldn't do that because it was kind of restricted. So I think you'll see that it'll get larger. The soil that you want to use is a commercial mix. We buy Fafford mix at the garden, and then we add other things to it, a little bit of pine bark, a little mycorrhiza, a little fertilizer. And you always want to pot the plant about the same depth as what it was growing. This is probably about almost 2 inches larger than this plant, but because it's been in a small pot for so long, I think it needs it. The other thing is you want to pack the soil, but not too hard.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I see you packing it in pretty good.
So that it'll stay. And then you also want to leave enough room that you can water it. Because if you don't, obviously the water's going to run over the edge of the pot.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what we need to do. I'm a little worried about this being slightly tippy because the root system's so small. But I think it'll be okay. All right, and then the other thing is when you water it, it's always good to have a saucer underneath. Now this particular plant likes to dry between watering, so my recommendation would be after water it till it runs through in the saucer.
All right.
If it doesn't reabsorb the water out of the saucer, say in an hour, dump it. Because that's the same effect as if water was over the top of the pot.
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
This other plant is a croton, and it looks like it's kind of lean toward the light. And I'm amazed it has survived with this tin foil on the pot, but it has. And it's, oh boy.
Water in it?
It's been well watered.
Well watered, you see that?
Okay. That's not a good idea.
Not good, huh?
No. But it's lived. Okay, these roots are not in as good a shape, but let's just kind of tease it out just a little bit. I think instead of using that big pot, we're going to use a little smaller one just because.
You have this one, you have another one.
Let's do this one. I'm just afraid that's going to be too large a volume of soil in that one.
And Rick, while you have that plant up there, we're looking for nice white fibrous roots, right? Because we always talk about that.
You're right, and you're not seeing them because a lot of them have unfortunately rotted away because it has stood in water. That's why you dump the saucer.
That's why you dump it,
Okay, now this plant is also kind of has an interesting shape
because
it kind of leaned toward the light. So we're going to kind of see what we can do with that. I'm going to put a little soil on the back side. And I'm not centering it exactly because of the, it's kind of a bonsai effect, I guess.
Yeah, makes sense.
And we have a little bamboo stake here, which I'm going to try to tease through there, and hopefully
Hold it up, huh?
that will support it.
Support it, okay.
Yeah, that will be
that
okay.
I
look
think that
nice.
works.
Okay.
These plants are already happier.
Yeah. So, that's basically the technique. If the plant was really large and you had to divide it, of course, that would be different. But then put a saucer under it. And
Okay.
I'm going to just give them a little bit of water now, just to show you. But the other thing, when you water your houseplants, it's a good idea to use lukewarm water instead of ice cold.
Okay.
Most of the plants that make good houseplants are plants from the tropics.
Okay.
And the cold water is kind of a shock to them because they're used to warmer temperatures. And a couple other tips on keeping plants healthy in the house. I recommend just getting an ordinary atomizer bottle and spritzing them lightly in the morning. That'll increase the humidity because your air is always dry with heat or air conditioning.
Okay.
And then use a liquid fertilizer, particularly from March through October, about half the strength they recommend on the package because of the fact that they want to sell you another package and they don't need that much.
Sure.
But about half what they recommend. And, that's your basic houseplant care.
What about light requirements?
Okay.
Okay, that's good that you asked. Something like this croton really should have bright red and yellow leaves, and that's from lack of sunlight.
Okay.
Also, the leaves are kind of big because they've grown larger because they're in lower light.
Okay.
So that should be in a sunny window. If that were acclimated, that could be out in the hot sun outside. That's actually a good bedding plant in the summer. Sansevierias will take almost full sun, but in the house, it would be hard to give it too much light. Outdoors, it would need maybe some afternoon shade.
Okay.
Both of them are tropical plants.
Right.
Tropical plants make the best house plants because they don't
Didn't know
need
that
to
before.
rest through the winter. If you brought something in from the garden, like a herbaceous plant, it would probably die in the spring after it tried to winter because it didn't have the cold temperatures.
Okay. That makes sense.
So plants from tropical countries make your best house plants.
Okay. Let me ask you another question. Any pest problems we need to
Oh,
know
yes.
about?
I'm amazed that these are very clean. Scale is a common problem, especially on Sansevierias.
Okay.
The white fly can be another one. Mealybug.
Right. Familiar with those.
Keeping the plants clean is part of the battle. If you will rinse them off occasionally, put them in the sink with the little hose attachment and rinse them off, or in the shower if it's a big tree or something, that helps a great deal. And then, most of the insecticides you use outside are a little bit strong for use
for
indoors.
inside,
So if you
right.
do want to spray your house plants, I'd recommend either doing it in the summer or on a nice day in the winter when you can put them in the garage and do it when the temperature's appropriate so that you don't have that in the house.
Okay.
A lot of the systemic pesticides are very appropriate for house plants because it's less of a pollution problem in the air in the house.
Sure. Okay.
So, and if you're using a clay pot, like I didn't water it enough, but you always be sure that pot has soaked up till it's dark color. You
Okay,
feel
that's a
moisture
good
on
point.
the outside because it'll draw moisture from the soil if you don't.
Okay. And one last question. Humidity. We always get that question asked a lot too.
Right. Most of the plants that adapt to being good house plants are tolerant of a range of temperatures, but the higher humidity, the better they do. We like dry air. Again, the atomizer bottle in the morning, if you'll spend, unless you have an ungodly number of plants, and I have a lot, but it doesn't take me more than 10 minutes. Just go through the house and lightly spritz them, especially when the heat's on or the air conditioning. Makes a huge difference.
Okay.
It'll, how some plants will get brown tips on the leaves. That will usually eliminate that because you just get an extra little humidity for those little short time during the day. Always do it in the morning so they go to bed dry at night.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Very good.
All right, Mr. Rick, we appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Demonstration. Thank you
Okay.
much. Good information too
You're
about
welcome.
houseplants. Thank you
Okay.
much. So a common mulch that you can use in your garden would be pine straw, pine needles. It's always a good idea to use pine needles because one thing, they will definitely stay in place. Secondly, it's always a good idea to use organic mulches, something that can be broken down and used by the soil. They help cut down on the splash effect, of course. And thirdly, guess what? Slugs and snails do not like to go over pine needles because it cuts their bodies and hence leads to their death. So again, it's a good idea to use pine needles in your garden to mulch your vegetables. They stay in place, they're beneficial because they're organic, they will break down and be used by the soil, and the slugs and snails don't like them. All right, Booker. And Rick, Booker's our lawn guy
I
here.
think from a few years.
A long time ago, we go way back.
That's for sure.
Yeah, way.
So let's talk a little bit about summer lawn watering.
That's
all
very
right?
good. We
and
need
we
that.
actually have some questions for you today.
Okay.
And we'll start with the first one. When is the best time to water your lawn?
Well, the ideal time and the best time, probably early in the morning time.
Okay.
A lot of folks go out there in the early morning time and water their lawn, probably sometime around 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Early 6 or 7. You go out there and put your water hose down where you want to water it, and then early that morning you get them cut it on while you go walking or jogging or something.
Right.
And then you make sure that you have where you want to get on all your other plants too now.
Okay.
Because a lot of times you get into our flower bed, and that's going to cause problems. But early in the morning time is ideal time to water your lawn.
Okay. So what happens if you water too late though?
A lot of times you water too late, it don't have time to dry off.
Okay.
And a lot of times we have diseases get on our lawn. People wonder why the disease is on my lawn. They probably water late in the evening time, or they water in the middle of the daytime. And a lot of time in the middle of the day, a lot of that water not getting down to the plant.
Okay.
So you need to water early in the morning to an ideal time because you get more water to the lawn.
Okay. All right. Here's a common question. How much water does your lawn need at any given time?
Well, most times you need at least about 1 inch of water a week.
Okay.
You know, you want to make
1
sure
inch a week.
1 inch a week. You want to make sure you give it all at one time. A lot of times I see folks out there in the morning time or in the evening time, get a little water hose and just start doing it for about 5 or 10 minutes.
Right.
And that's really doing your lawn more harm than anything else. Because you want that water to soak down into the soil, probably about 1 inch. 1 inch of good water in a week. Now you have sandy soil, it might need just a little more in there because the sandy soil might drain a little faster, and it causes it to dry faster. So you might, most of got clay soil here, it's gonna hold that moisture a long time in there. So by 1 inch of water, we should be good.
Okay. Does it matter whether it's a warm season grass or a cool season grass, like whether it's Bermuda, Zoysia, or fescue?
Well, most of the time we water our grass, most of the warm season grass,
Right.
because a lot of times your cool season grass, they get enough water, but under a shade tree or something in the summertime, you might want to get a little more water. It's not doing a whole lot of growth doing that, but it's staying still under that shade tree. The roots are pulling that water away from your lawn,
Right.
so and you need to give it a little more water during the summertime. It's really hot, but in the wintertime, you don't need to water your cool season grass a whole lot.
Okay. All right. Here's our next question. So what happens if your lawn gets too much water?
The two things that happen to too much water. One of the things that you can call disease problem get on
Sure.
there. You know, about 1 inch of water a week, and sometimes if you got a sprinkler system and it come on, you need to make sure you have a water gauge on that, because if it rain, you don't want it to come on. So some people have it set anyway. If it rain, it still come on, and that can get that lawn too much water.
Okay.
And also giving it too much water, you want those root systems sometimes to just kind of get the grass to go kind of dormant, dry. They force those root systems down into the ground. If not, you keep getting all that water all the time. They stand really close to the top if they got a lot of moisture right there. But sometimes you just let it go dry for a while and force those root systems down into the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, and do that in there. So
So the deeper the roots go, for the most part,
the tougher the
better
grass
the
gonna be.
Right.
So I don't water my grass now. I used to water my lawn, but I let it nice, well established. And in the summertime, the roots are going down into the ground looking for water.
Right.
That's why you don't want to shadow water your grass, because they're about 2 or 3 minutes. The roots can come to the top of the soil, and the soil and the heat can kill that grass. I've seen neighbors like that watering their lawn early like that, and they think I know that they're beginning to turn brown. It's because the shadow roots, hot sun, scorch those roots up.
Okay. You got that, Rick?
Makes sense.
Yes, you do.
All right. So here's our next question for you. How can I tell my lawn has 1 inch of water on it?
We get that call all the time. How can I tell it got 1 inch? How can I tell this? I know I want to get 1 inch of water in there. A lot of times you buy they have little cans and things you put out in your lawn at the end of the sprinkler system, and put them on probably about both sides of it, depending on what sprinkler you have, and get you a time and put on there and watch it for the first time to see how long, and mark that can, make an inch on that can, and mark that can. When that get an inch of water in there, you will know then an inch. Then you know how long it took for it to get that inch. If it took 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, because some sprinklers put out more water than other sprinklers.
Okay.
So y'all depend on that kind of sprinkler that you have, how long it takes to get that 1 inch of water in there.
Okay.
But yeah, you get you some can put out there, whatever, water gauge or whatever,
Right.
try to mix that 1 inch of water in there.
Okay. What about using the moisture meter?
A lot
What
of
do you
people
think
do
about
that. That'd be good to tell when your lawn do need water. You know, you want to do that to test that in there. So yeah, that'd be really good, because you don't want in there water time. Like I said a few minutes ago, make sure you have your sprinkler system set from your flower bed.
Okay.
Because a lot of times we see a lot of flower beds dead because they're getting too much water. They got a lot of mulch in the flower bed, holding a lot of moisture in there, and they're beginning to rot those plants out.
Okay. And then one of the points that you made earlier, Rick, and you probably can attest to this as well. Yeah, make sure you have a rain sensor.
Oh, yeah.
On your irrigation system, because we've all seen them, right? Going off when
Irrigation
it's
running
raining.
in a rainstorm. Yeah.
Like, come on, folks.
Yeah, I done seen it rain yet, and they got their lawn beginning to get water.
My goodness.
And that's not good.
Yeah, it's not good. There's going to be too much water. So you talked about, some of the sprinklers that are out there. What are some of the better kinds, though? The oscillating kind, or
It's all depends on how much lawn you have, because a lot of times lawn not made even.
Okay.
And a lot of times you want to use the kind that'll fit in your lawn.
Okay.
Because you don't want to get the water all on the sidewalk. You want the water, all on your house and everything. You want the one that fit into your lawn. But the isolating kind is real good if you don't put some new seeds down, because it won't wash the seeds away. Kind of it won't pack them down to the soil. So you had when they're going over and over again, isolating kind, that'd be really good for new seeds and some new sod you put down in there. That'd be the best kind to use. But try to watch your lawn and try to put the sprinkler somewhere that the water's getting onto the grass. You don't want to water the sidewalk and all that down there. You're wasting water and also wasting money and time.
Right. And if you do have an irrigation system, you need to test it, right, to make sure it's putting out.
Most people have an irrigation system. They have it on certain zones. You might have one zone to come on at a certain time of the year, a certain time of the day, and some other time. Probably you got up under shade tree, that might be a zone you might have come on 15 or 20 minutes. Or when out in the heat and hot sun, it might come on long to get that 1 inch of water in there. So you want to make sure you get a 1 inch of water in there. And you don't need to come on every day. Sometimes, like you say, test your soil to make sure it needs water before you do that. And then, sometimes an inch of water might not be an inch of water for that week, because have some rain in there and all that in there. You might get it through rainwater.
Okay.
So test that in there. Yeah, test your sprinkler system in there and have it come on in there, and what zone that you have to come on at a certain time.
Okay. All right. So another question for you. How often do I need to water a newly sodded or seeded lawn?
One of the things about that, now that's what we mistake. Now, if we have, I like to too, now if it's real hot in the summertime, I like to, if I want sod down, I don't like to put that sod down on really dry, hot soil.
Okay.
I might want to water the day or two before, just water the soil, just get it kind of moist like. Then come out there and lay my sod. And I want to keep it real moist until it begin to catch root. And you can go out there and catch that sod and put on a little bit, and see how if it begin to catch root in there, then it done caught root. And also for the seeds in your lawn, you want to make sure that you keep it moist until you start germinating. Okay. Now you don't want to keep it just wet. Right. But you want to go a lot of time, you just want to keep it kind of moist, like early in the morning time, keep it kind of moist until those seeds germinate. And on the bag of seed, it'll tell you how many days it should take for that seed to germinate. Right. But moody grass seed might take 7 to 10 days. Your zoysia grass and all the different seeds take a little longer, but just know how long it should take for that seed to germinate. And if you can get some old seeds, put them in there and they're just sitting there, you wonder why they seeds not germinate. Right. And another thing is, when do you plant those seeds? A lot of times people know when to plant those seeds. But moody grass seed, zoysia seed in May, probably the middle of May. Okay. When the soil temperature get around 70 degrees, not the air temperature, but the soil temperature get around in there. But keep that soil moist, not overwater, and keep it moist until it begin to germinate.
Right. Because for the most part, seeds start to germinate when they take in water. Correct. Right.
Yeah, keep them moist,
producing roots and things like that.
Keep that moist in there.
All right. Well, Booger, we appreciate that information from our lawn guy here.
It's great.
All right. Thank you much.
Tulips in zone 7, 8 usually do not last in the ground through the summer, especially if their soils are really tight like ours are here. They sometimes rot in the ground. So we dig them up and treat them as annuals. And this is the same concept you can use for any bulb that you want to move somewhere else. You take a trowel, move dirt out of the way, and dig down as far as you can to hopefully gather the bottom of that bulb and pull it up. And then you can transplant this to some other place or put it in the compost pile.
All right, here's our Q&A session. And Rick, you jump in there and help us out, okay?
All right, I'll do it.
All right, here's our first viewer email. Comes from YouTube. Okay. What happens if I use 2 or 3 different fungicides at the same time? And this is from Abdul. Again, YouTube. Yeah. So, Booker, you want first crack at that one?
Well, see here, you don't want to mix things together, because it could cause a reaction to certain plant or whatever you have, and it might knock one of them off and not begin to work good. So I probably waste some time on it before I use 2 different fungicide or herbicide at the same time on there and stuff on there.
I would agree. I mean, if you might want to alternate.
No, yeah, I would alternate, right,
because
exactly.
Different resistance or whatever, but I wouldn't use 2 together either.
I wouldn't use 2 or 3 together either, Abdul. And my reason is this: it's a waste of money. Because if you use 2 or 3, what if they're in the same class or have the same mode of action?
Yeah.
Right. And you just wasting money and wasting product. And then there could also be, phytotoxicity.
Yeah,
correct.
Knock one off,
I wouldn't use any more than One.
Follow the directions.
Find the
That's
red.
why they're
That's
on
right.
there.
Read the
That's
label,
right.
find that restaurant
Read the
on there,
label
yeah.
on there. I know some of your bigger, chemical companies are now, introducing more chemistries,
Right.
into some of their products. But
Yeah, I wouldn't.
as a homeowner,
I just use one.
this one I'll do.
And read the label, I do.
That's right. Read the label on that. All right. Hope that answers your question. All right. Here's our next viewer email. I recently moved into a high-rise with a 24 by 5 foot balcony. What can I do to grow tomatoes and other veggies on a north-facing balcony? And this is from Dunn. So, Mr. Rick.
Woo! It sounds windy.
And it's been windy.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I would definitely cage them or trellis them.
Huh? Okay.
You're going to
That's
get
what I thought.
early morning and late afternoon sun, on the north side. So it'd be worth a try. I don't think the production will be as good as full sun,
Okay.
but possibly cherry tomatoes because they're a
See
little
that.
tougher.
Yeah.
But I definitely use large containers because they're going to dry out fast up there.
Yes, real fast.
And check the watering daily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything you like to add to
No,
that?
that's probably good. No, if you got, like I said, Rick said, they dry out fast in the container. And also, one thing about container, you can kind of move it around a little bit. You can turn around and move to a different location in there. So that's one thing about container in there.
Pick out the best spot.
You
just
got the
kind
best
of
spot for
observe.
there. And you can't grow a whole lot, but like tomatoes and pepper probably the only two good things that you really grow good on there.
All right. We recently talked about hydroponic systems. So I wonder.
I think hydroponic, we've messed with that at the garden some,
Okay.
and we've found that really and truly, even in a greenhouse, that whole greenhouse has to be devoted to hydroponics. If you try to grow plants and soil in the same greenhouse space, it's not as efficient for whatever reason. We found it just didn't work as well.
Interesting.
So outdoors, I don't know.
You don't know.
I
Okay.
have my doubts.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I know
yeah.
some people do those towers with the
Yeah, those
herbs
towers
and
are
stuff,
popular
but
now,
I
yeah.
question how effective that is.
Interesting. Yeah, I've seen those towers all over town now. All right, so Mr. Dunn, I hope that answers your question there. You have a couple of options. All right. So here's our next via email. I have grass growing in my vegetable garden. What kind is it? And this is from Charles in Arlington. As you can see there on the screen, nutsedge.
Nutsedge.
What do you think about nutsedge?
Yeah, a lot of
That's
times
what that is.
in a vegetable garden, I don't recommend a whole lot of chemical in vegetable garden because it might interfere with the plant, the vegetable you have in there. If you can just go out, you have too many, I really just go out there and pull it out of there. You can now, but you might.
That nutsedge is going to be tough.
You'll be tough. You'll be
pull
tough
out,
now.
yeah.
But what do you maybe use a chemical, something like that, just get right on the plant or something, like lots of Roundup or something, just touch on there. That might help some, but you don't want to get right on your plant though.
I think during the growing season, I would smother it with some cardboard
Yeah,
or
that's
something,
what I'm going,
and
yeah.
mulch on
Yeah,
top,
I sure
and then
would.
when the plants are harvested, then attack it with Image or Manage or whatever you're going to
That's
use.
right. That's right.
Yeah,
Right.
that'd be good. Yeah,
That
that'd
would
be
be
good,
my take anyway.
Yeah, that would be my take as well.
I
I'll
don't
put
like
some down to
like
smoke
chemical
it
in
out.
vegetable garden either. No, really like that. So
Not if
Right.
you're going to eat the
Yeah,
plant.
Yeah.
anything that's edible for
Yeah.
the most part, I
Yeah,
don't like,
like
spraying things.
Makes me nervous.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, of course, there are some chemicals that you can spray in a vegetable garden. It's actually
Sure.
labeled for vegetables.
Sure.
Basagran is
Yeah.
one.
Right.
And halosaffron is another one. But
I don't usually leave
yeah,
that
I like to smother
That thing
method.
just smothered out
Yeah.
like be good.
But you know how tough nut grass is, though.
Oh, it's
I mean,
pretty, yeah.
but it's
impossible.
an indicator of a lot of moisture.
Yes, it is.
So, I mean, watch your irrigating. How
Yeah,
much you
and they
water.
might want to build that soil up so that the level of that garden's a little higher than the surrounding area. Add some amendments to it to bulk it up.
All right, Mr. Charles, hope that helps you out there. All right, here's our next viewer email. I have 4 pampas grass plants and they have done well blooming. I did not cut them back during the fall and now they look like they are dying. Should I cut pampas grass back every fall? What do I do to save them? And this is Miss Elizabeth. And Miss Elizabeth, we just happen to have Rick here who can answer that question. Mr.
Well,
Rick.
that's a difficult question. Pampas
Okay.
grass is an evergreen grass. It does not normally die back unless we have a very severe winter. So, and it's kind of a sawtooth edged blade, which is not pleasant to work with. But what I would have done probably back in March before the new growth came out is wear gloves and get in there with the shears and cut out the dead leaves and leave the green ones. Now there's probably enough new growth that it would be almost impossible
To get in
to
there?
do. I would give it a shot of fertilizer and keep my fingers crossed and hope for the best. I mean, surely there's some growth there.
Okay.
If it's not, by now it's toast.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, she said now they look like they're dying.
It's
So-
not good.
I like that information.
Not
Rick.
good.
I like that because I just put one out, 2 at home, and I
Yeah.
sowed it pampas grass. So,
But
I
it's an,
know how-
it's an evergreen
you know I
grass.
take
If
care
you
of it
cut-
now. Yeah.
I've seen people kill it by cutting it to the ground.
I've seen that
Oh,
as well.
okay.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's not enough
Yeah.
for
I've seen that.
photosynthesis for it to get restarted.
Okay.
Wow. So fertilize it and see what happens.
That's what I would do.
All right, Mr.
Thank you,
Elizabeth,
Rick.
you heard it from Mr. Rick himself. So and do wear gloves because you're right.
Oh, it'll cut you up.
It will cut you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been cut by that before, so it will do that. All right, so Mr. Rick, we out of time. Thanks for being here today.
Okay, enjoy
All
it.
right.
Thank you.
Remember, we love to hear from you. Send us an email or letter. The email address is familyplot@wkno.org, and the mailing address is Family Plot, 7151 Cherry Farms Road, Cordova, Tennessee 38016. Or you can go online to familyplotgarden.com. That's all we have time for today. Need some garden advice? Head on over to familyplotgarden.com. We have hundreds of videos on all sorts of garden topics to help you and your plants be successful this year. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris Cooper. Be sure to join us next week for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. Be safe.